Hey, I'm Marty Mcdonald, and you've tuned in into the Audacity of Ambitious Women. This podcast is for all women who are ready to jump boldly into their next stage of life. Whether it's business or personal, it's time to be audacious. So let's get started. Welcome to season 2 of the Audacity of Ambitious Women. Listen, I'm so excited to be connecting with everyone today, specifically to share more about my story. As you guys know, I'm the CEO and founder of Boss Women Media. Boss Women Media is an offline, online women's empowerment community and media company, and we create experiences for women to connect. And listen, I've had a lot of audacious pitches over the years. As you know, as we're going into season 2 of this podcast, it's all around the audacious pitch. And I am so excited to share just a couple of my audacious pitches with you guys. So in 2020, I get pregnant. What a time to be pregnant. Listen, a time where the world really went silent. Me and my husband had been trying to get pregnant for 5+ years, and nothing really was happening. And in the midst of COVID-19, in the midst of the world shutting down, I find out that I'm pregnant in May of 2020. In October of that same year, I end up finding out that my daughter would be born with something called congenital diaphragmatic hernia, which basically meant that her liver, her spleen, and her intestines would be in her chest when she was born, and her lungs would not be able to fully develop. And we had to change our whole birth story. This came to me at such a interesting time, at a time when I had been trying to get pregnant for so long, at a time when I had been trying to really isolate myself from so many things. I had this hidden secret that I was aware of at 20 weeks when I'm pregnant, and I had to carry it along with me for the next 19 weeks before she was delivered and born. I didn't realize how much it would change my life, but this experience and really what I considered to be a setback was something that changed my life in so many ways. I'm going to pause there in the story and share kind of where we are today. As I mentioned and shared with you guys, I'm the founder and CEO of Boss Women Media. You couldn't have really told me if I was going to start another business. I was so focused on building out my community for Boss Women Media. I was focused on building a community, creating storytelling moments, making sure that women, and specifically Black women, were seen and heard and received information and resources and tools that propelled them forward in their careers. That's what I was focused on. And 2020 was an incredible year for me and my business. So I really wasn't focused on anything else. But when I found out I was pregnant, it made me kind of reset and think through how I was going to continue to show up for my community. What did the end goal look like? And at that time, I absolutely had no idea what the end goal was. I didn't know anybody who sold a company, or I didn't know anyone who acquired other companies. I just knew I was building this company, and we were growing, and our revenues were growing. And this is where I was focused until I had my daughter. I had my daughter in 2021, January 2021 to be exact. When I had her, our whole birth plan changed. Instead of us delivering at the private hospital that I thought we were going to be delivering at, we instead had to deliver at the county hospital, because the county hospital would then be connected to the children's hospital. And because of what she was born with, it was too much of a risk to life flight her. So for a girl who grew up in a very small town with very small beginnings, my small beginnings looked and began with a mom who didn't have much, who struggled a lot, who received government assistance. For me to grind and work and get to a place where I could deliver my child at the hospital that I chose and I wanted, with the doctors that I wanted, to then be forced to deliver her at the county hospital was a significant blow. It was a blow in my ego. It was a blow in what I felt like my success was. And it really took me back. It was something that I grieved and something that I had to really sit with. But we delivered at a local hospital in Dallas, Texas called Parkland. And my husband was able to walk Elle over to the children's hospital when she was born. When she was born, she actually ended up crying, which was a significant sign that her lungs were functioning at a capacity that we couldn't necessarily always tell on ultrasound scans and different things. And 3 days after she was born, she was strong enough to have a surgery. The surgery that moved her spleen, her liver, and her intestines back in its right place. And we stayed in the NICU for 35 days for her lungs to fully develop. Well, far beyond anything of my expectation, I had no idea what the NICU experience was going to do to me, the impact it was going to make on my family, and the voice that it was going to arise inside of me to showcase to the world that advocacy and representation are not synonymous with one another. Our NICU experience left me wondering, where are the Black doctors? Where are the Black nurses? Where are the Black leadership? Why does no one look like me in this hospital? And it left me making sure that I showed my Black little girl that she belonged in this world, that she could see herself in this world, and that she will not live in a world where we are wondering where are the Black people, but instead she will be the Black people. The NICU experience taught me early on as a new mom, I have to learn how to advocate for her. But in learning how to advocate for her, I have to teach her how to advocate for herself. So every morning I stood at every round and advocated for her life. I advocated for the drugs to be taken away. I advocated for the drugs to be lowered in doses. I advocated for her to be taken to the step-down unit. I advocated when we went to the step-down unit how we were progressing. It was a state of advocacy every single day. But then I advocated for myself as a new mom. I advocated for my well-being. I advocated for my rights. I advocated when they asked questions such as, are you on welfare? Do you take WIC? Are you married? I had to advocate and show up for myself to show them what a successful, strong woman of faith Black woman looked like. And you couldn't have told me that was going to be my story. You couldn't have told me. But in that story, there was a silver lining that I was not even aware of. We left the NICU, like I said, 35 days later. I go home. And we didn't just go home with a regular kid. We went home with a kid who was on oxygen for about 3 or 4 months because her lungs needed to heal. And when I finally closed my eyes and captured some sleep about 7 months after she was born, I realized that my experience, my pain, and the trauma that I faced as a new mom would be the thing that catapulted me and eventually create a business out of me that could showcase to other moms that representation and advocacy are not synonymous. And it is our job and our duty to make sure that we show this next generation that they are going to be a force to be reckoned with. So me and my husband go on a trip. We actually went to Hawaii. Elle stayed back at home, and I got a ton of sleep because Hawaii is like 8 hours time difference. So it was 8 o'clock in the morning, and I was asleep. And I didn't wake up until 10, 11 o'clock at night. And in that sleep, I allowed myself to rest. I allowed my body to fully rest. And in the resting state and period, a lot of the things that I was holding on to were able to release itself. And when it released itself, I allowed for more space to be open up, for my brain to finally think, ideas to finally flow. And I remember coming back from Hawaii. When I came back, for some reason, I was going into Target for something. But during that Hawaii period, I knew that I was supposed to be doing something else, that Boss Women Media was not just the end story for me, that there was more. And that's kind of the premise of my story. I've always desired more for my community, more for my family, more for the next generation. And in my quest to find more, I'm walking in Target, just like we do, having our Target experience. And it hit me. I go into the toddler section where I was always frequent in looking for more clothes for this 8-month-old little girl. And I didn't see anything in the clothes aisle that looked like my daughter. I didn't see a character that looked like her. I didn't see anything that spoke to any affirmations that I could put on her. And it was an out of body experience that came over me. I'm talking about chills. I'm talking about something came over me that said, you are supposed to create a brand where Black and brown little girls see themselves. I go back in my car and I couldn't shake it. And there's something so powerful that happens when your purpose and destiny aligns itself with one another. And if you can't shake it, that's how you know that you're supposed to walk into it. And I remember calling my creative director who had been working on Boss and who had done all of our branding for Boss from the beginning. And I said, hey, I have this idea. I want to create this brand. Maybe it's a character. I know the brand should be called El Olivia. And in creating this brand, I can see it. It's fun. It's bright. It's vibrant. It showcases this beautiful skin tone. It may have different hairstyles, right? And she sends me back this illustration, and it was exactly what was in my head, but I could not verbalize. It was this character, El Olivia, and she showcased big possibilities. And we called her a little mama, and we created phrases for her like, I get it from my mama, because everything that's instilled in her first comes from her mama, and she knows that her mama is the force, and her mama is going to show her all of the big possibility, all of the opportunity, all of the exposure for her to continue to dream big in this world. We go on a quest, and I've created this brand, El Olivia. I decided, okay, let me go get it trademarked. Let me get it registered. Let's begin this thing. But again, in my beginnings, I didn't really know what that looked like. So I said, let me start with something that's easy, pajamas. But pajamas with a spin and a twist on it. Because as a new busy mom that's working and grinding and establishing a whole business, sometimes we lay in our pajamas all day long. And I decided to create a lay and play pajama line. Something that you can lay in and you can play in. So you may go and you go to school in it and you come home and you might sleep in it all in the same time frame. And so I went and I looked for manufacturers and I looked for, fabrics, and I looked for designs and patterns and all of the things. And I asked questions to everyone I know. I used my network to really propel me forward in this next venture. I'd never started a product-based business before. I've created a service-based business that the income stream and the revenue streams of it are very specific. A product-based business, you got to have a customer and you got to have an audience and you got to have a community. And there's so much that goes with it. And I was figuring it out. I was literally building and flying the plane at the same time. And we finally get our first line of designs back. I placed this order for these designs in November, thinking that they would get here by December. Yeah, no, it doesn't work quite like that when you're working with overseas manufacturers. So I placed the order in November and I got the order back in April. And I had this idea that we were going to launch in February 2022. And when I knew that the designs would not be back in time, I ended up going on Shein, buying a whole bunch of sweatshirts for little girls. And I took it to my local printer and had them print the designs on it. I mean, this is how you know it was Shein. The sizes were like 68, 70, 92. Like, it wasn't even any sizes that we knew. And that's how I launched and started the brand. I started the brand with what I had today to get it out into the marketplace, to get the feedback from the customer and the consumer that I was going after. When my big order finally made its way back into the United States, I decided I'm going to do a big campaign. It's going to be called a summer campaign of playing and slaying. And it was a mommy piece and a mini piece. And it would showcase a summer of playing and slaying. The little girl was playing, the mama was slinging in her jumpsuit. And I ended up hiring some influencers. I got a billboard off of 75 in Dallas. I did Instagram ads. I, hired all of the people, did all of the right things, right? And we put the campaign out, and it was crickets. Like no one was reacting from us, right? No one was reacting from this brand that I put out. But I did not let that deter me. I kept my head down. I kept going. I kept looking for the audience that we were going after. And in my mind, this brand belonged on the shelves of Target. And I was going to do whatever it took to ensure that my brand had shelf space in Target. So I would continue to grind, hustle, build out our audience, build out our community. And I decided to put my audacious pitch on the line and put myself out there. I go and I look up on LinkedIn, who is the merchandising buyer, who's over diversity supplier, inclusion, who's in those departments at Target. And whoever I would find, I would send them an email or a LinkedIn message or in any way I could get my brand in front of them. I ended up finding the right person on LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, she had a personal email, so I sent her an email on her personal email. I went and followed her on Instagram. I sent her a message on Instagram. I would stalk this lady. I was relentless. I was going to get my brand in front of Target. And I was going to use my summer campaign as my metric and my beta case to show to her the branding, the marketing, the audience, and all that I have built with this very, very new brand. Lo to my behold, this lady responds back to me. And she says, I want to send you I want you to send me a capability statement. And I want you to send me a line review of your items. I was like, wait, what? Wait, wait, what? What am I doing? And I was like, all right, I don't even know what this capability statement is supposed to say. Let me go to Google. Capability statement for a line review. I had no idea what a line review was. And I did all of the things. I submitted it. And I was on a call with the buyers at Target. And this was my time to shoot my shot. This is October, November 2022. My brand isn't even a year old at this time. So they're asking me all of the questions. Can you do this? Can your manufacturers do that? Can we create an exclusive design? Yes, 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 and absolutely yes. We'll do all of the things. Of course I know how to do that. Yes, what do you mean? I'll figure it out. And in January 2023, I got my first commit for Target. And we got a big commit, like a really big first order for a very brand new brand and company to be in the marketplace. And I did not know what I did not know, but I continued every day. And if I didn't know it, I believed in the divine miraculous of God to put me in the pathway of the right people. And I did all of the work. I hustled as much as I could. Well, in 2023, January, I found out I was pregnant with twins. And I literally was like, I have an order that I have to submit to Target while I am pregnant with twins. I cried like a baby when this doctor told me, oh, and it's two, baby A and baby B. And I was like, but I got other things going on. As I'm trying to figure out how to fund hundreds of thousands of dollars for a Target order, how to get this exclusive design out of the door, because my order was going out of the door in August of 2023. But the twins would be born, and their due date was August 21st, 2023. So not only was I birthing twins, I was also birthing Ella Olivia and the opportunity for it. Listen, it was not an easy year. 2023 was a year for the books. I held my breath the entire time of my pregnancy of being born to twins because I thought, what if the twins are born with what Elle would be born with? What if they see defects on the twins, right? And it wasn't until I was in the ultrasound room at my 20-week appointment, that same appointment that I had with Elle, that I heard the whisper of God. And he said to me, the twins will not be born with that. That is not the twin story. The twin story is going to be completely different. That had to happen for you and Elle because you had to be able to create something that would allow Black and brown little girls to see themselves. And if that had never happened to you, you would have never taken this pathway to create what you've created in Elle Olivia. So trust the process, Marty. And it was such a sigh of relief, but it also, I knew at that moment in that time that Elle Olivia wasn't by happenstance. It wasn't by happenstance that we had gotten into Target from being in business after 8 months. And it wasn't by happenstance that I was birthing the twins and that being a relief for me of saying that that's not going to be their story. And Elle's story is unique and it's so purposeful and it had nothing to do with Elle and it had everything to do with the impact that we would make in the world of ensuring we were raising little mamas to dream big. And me, the twins, my big belly, walked this hot warehouse. We checked off our 70,000 unit order that came in that we shipped out to over 400 stores in Target in August. I had the twins. We launched in Target in September, October, and we've been off to the races ever since. I share this story because do we have it all figured out? Absolutely not. There's so much more for us to do and accomplish, and I cannot wait to share more of where Elle Olivia is and where we will be in 2024. But I share the story because the story aligns itself with a little bit of purpose, a whole lot of God, and a little bit of knowing that sometimes your pain and the things that you think are your suffering are opportunities for you to serve other people. And I believe that my life itself allows it to really lean into the fact that it has nothing to do with me and everything about the women that I surround myself with, the stories that I tell, the opportunities that I bring, the opportunities that I share, and the resources that I share with others. That is my purpose in life. And Elle Olivia is just a through line of me serving that purpose. In actuality, it's allowing me to say that if we get to a 2-year-old and we tell a 2-year-old who they are right now, by the time she's 25 or 29, like the women who are in the Boss Women media community, she will be a force that cannot be reckoned with. She will be a force. She will know who she is. She will know her worth. She will know where she stands in this world. If we can tell a 2-year-old that her skin matters and that her hair matters and that her future matters and that she can be and do whatever it is that she desires. And listen, our 2-year-olds are watching. They see us. They're watching what we do, the information that we tell ourselves, how we treat ourselves. They're watching us. Our little mamas are watching us. And if we affirm and show them who they are right now, the world is endless for them. And I'm so, so excited. I'm so excited for what Elle Olivia is. Elle Olivia is a lifestyle brand. It's a lifestyle brand for Black and brown little girls to see themselves through everyday moments with the apparel that they wear, the books that they read, and through parental education. I'm excited for what our journey will be. We are just getting started. We just turned 2. We just turned 2 in February, and listen, there's so much more for us to penetrate, for us to be a lifestyle brand that is a household name for our little mamas. So I have an audience here with me who's listened to my full story. Some of them may have known bits and pieces of it. Some of them may not know any of it at all. But I want to, allow this time for me to lean into the audience and to see if they have any questions for me about my story, about my pitch, and about Olivia specifically. Welcome, ladies. Yes. So, you guys have any questions? And this feels so strange because I'm like, do you have any questions for the guest? I am the guest.
I'm trying not to cry. My daughter's 2, and 18 months after I had her, I got pregnant with twins. This is my story. So I was just like, oh my God, they're 2 and 4. And I'm listening to you. I'm amazed. I'm inspired.
Yeah.
Like, because so often I felt like people tell me that, like, having them like they're so young that I can't do it. And I don't want to ask you, like, how you're doing it, because I know you're doing it. But what keeps you going as a mother? Because you're living, like, what I'm living. My twins are 2. And having them was like, oh, my God. Because you're already dealing with the other one, and you're, like, trying to build this business. Now you have 3 kids, And it's like, God is so amazing in that way, but it's a lot.
It is a lot.
So how are you?
Well, listen, you're further ahead than me. My twins are 7 months, and I have a 3-year-old now. But is it hard? It's so hard. It's incredibly hard. I'm not even going to sit here and say it isn't. Just for me to film this podcast over the last 2 days, my mother-in-law is here. We just got a nanny finally. So now she's also at the house. My little 3-year-old, she's sick. And so we're trying to figure out how to navigate her. I mean, it's incredibly hard, but you have to give yourself grace. What you say to yourself is so important. How are you talking to yourself? How are you being kind to yourself in the process, right? Like, this is the hoodest hood I'd have never been in, motherhood, right? Like, nobody could have told me that it was gonna be like this. Because why? Because we don't tell the truth. We don't tell the truth about motherhood is hard. And you do have to make choices. And there are consequences to every choice that you make. But you have to know that you're making the right choice for the moment of time that you stand in with the information that you have today for your children in the best way that you possibly can. Yesterday, we had a woman on, and she talked a little bit about her kids would say, you don't come to field trips. And all of my other mom's friends, they come on the field trips, and she's a doctor. And she said, but look at where you live. Look at the opportunities that I've afforded you. I am there at the important things. And so this morning when we were leaving the house, my daughter was like, can I come with you? If she wasn't sick, Elle would be here right here in front of me. I have no problem bringing her and exposing her and letting her see, right, what I do, so that it doesn't ever feel like to her she's being chosen from what I do, but instead she's a part of what I do. And I think that for me, that's how it's going to work in my house. If I'm interviewing Michelle Obama, you better believe Elle, Layla, and Ryan are going to be in the front seat learning school of life from me and not anywhere else, right? And so that's how I've chosen to do motherhood. And I'm not choosing to do motherhood like anybody else's story of motherhood. It's the story that's going to work for me and my family. But know that you can't do it alone, and it's not meant to be done alone. So surround yourself with the people who can and want to help you thrive as a mom.
Yeah. My biggest question was, what was the pitch that you gave to Target? Because your story is just super inspiring, right? Like I had 3 kids, family, all the things. So it's a lot, like you said. And realistically, it's a lot to balance. But I really want to know, like, what did you have to say to these people, like, to Target? Like, what was the pitch? Or if you remember the pitch.
Oh, yes. Oh, no, I remember the pitch. And I'll share what was in the pitch, but I don't think it was what was in the pitch. There are moments in time when this is supposed to be your destiny. And I've grinded for a long time, and someone I allowed to be in a position to be seen. And being seen is what led me to the opportunity, to having that opportunity to pitch, right? I had already built a brand that was credible in the marketplace. So whoever these buyers were, if they Googled me, right, the the receipts came up, right? Of not something that I just came out of the gate on, but I knew how to build community. I knew how to garner partnerships, right? But what was included in the pitch was my story. From the through line, it started off with the story of in 2021, I had a little girl named Olivia, and we, got diagnosed with this thing, right? And I was very transparent and authentic with the story. I didn't create it because this is what I thought of or because I wanted, but because I saw a need in the marketplace. The pitch allowed itself to speak to the need that the retailer target had. In order, if they wanted to move categories forward, they needed to put something like this on their floor that would connect with Black and brown moms. And so it was never about me, it was always about them. And I believe that's why they responded, because it was something that could drive their business forward.
Marty, as a businesswoman, and you now have 2 brands. Talk about some of the goals that you have, that you see as, I would think, within the next 5 years for your community.
Yeah.
So specifically for Boss Women Media, one of my goals is to sell Boss Women Media. And I think that's something that we don't talk about enough in our community. We don't talk about it because we don't know it's an option for us. But what does a sale look like for Boss Women Media in the next 5 years? It looks like finding a strategic partner that I can align myself with that can take the business to the next level. I've taken the business to incredible heights. I have one more mission and one more thing I want to do, and that's to build out a membership portal and really be able to tap into a 100,000 women by 2025. That is my mission and my goal, to tap into 100,000 women in a connectivity setting. So that means an in-person gatherings throughout the United States over the course and year of 2025. Once I accomplish that, then I will be preparing myself to sell the company for the next person who comes in with the same vision and the same heart that I have to propel the stories of Black women forward, to help connect and give resources and tools, and really to continue to move the brand in new heights with new resources and new ways that I don't necessarily have the resources to do. And I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to focus on Olivia. And I'm going to focus on making this a household name, the number one household name. So just like a Mattel and a Barbie is a household name, Olivia will be a household name. And it won't just be a household name for Black and brown little girls, but our white girl allies also will understand and know the power of someone who doesn't look like them, of making sure that they see themselves also.
That's awesome. Thanks.
So I'm sorry, I've been soaking up a lot of this, especially with having a product business and navigating. When you said it's like flying the plane and building it at the same time, I'm like, exactly. And then also acting like you've flown the plane before. So I'm connected in that in a whole different way. But we spoke a little bit about pivoting when, Olivia had not, you were getting ready to drop and things did come in. I know about that. And you pivoted to the Shein and getting the things of that nature. I know a lot of times when you're pivoting, people kind of look at you like, I don't know if that's it. Like they kind of look at you crazy, but eventually they get behind it. Can you tell me a little bit about the people in the community that you've had to help you, like with your mind, like when you make those decisions, like it sounds a little weird, but I got you. I see where you're going. Do you have that, and what does that look like for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that we all have to have that. That's a non-negotiable. Having a community and people that's going to rally for you in the background is how you are able to continue to go, because this is hard. Actually, this is extremely hard. And you know why you don't hear the stories of people who have setbacks is because no one's transparent about it. Everybody has setbacks. It is a part of business. They are lying if they say that they do not have setbacks, right? Orders don't come in, shipping is late, tags are wrong, right? And that's what makes you a really great entrepreneur. It's not that the stuff went wrong, it's how you can strategically figure out how to fix and solve problems. That's what makes you a good leader, right? And so in terms of who is in my corner cheering me on, my circle is small but mighty. And there is power in numbers when there need to be, but there is power in having the right people also. So people that I can lean into are my husband. He is definitely my cheerleader. He wants me to win. That's the only way that this has worked is because my husband wants me to win. If my husband was in opposition with me, this would not work, because you already are second guessing yourself in so many ways. If the person sleeping next to you also is second guessing you, it's just hard, right? But then also, my faith plays such a huge component and role. Everything that I do, every event that I've produced, every product that I've pushed out, it has been because God told me to do that. And so I lean into my faith. I think I lean into my faith now more than ever. God is definitely the source of everything that I have. But then also, I invested in a business coach about 2 years ago, and it really helped me change my mindset, right? In so many ways. I remember I would say things to her like, I just feel like no one is buying into my sponsorships because I'm Black. And she would say simple things to me like, well, go find people who want to buy into your sponsorships because you're Black. And I'm like, well, hell. I just paid you a lot of money to tell me that. But I was allowing me being Black as a barrier. And instead, that wasn't my barrier. I had to go find people who aligned with my vision and my mission, right? And having someone to be your soundboard over the barriers and the stories that you tell yourself, because I'm so sure you've told yourself some stories. You've told yourself, I'm not good enough. You've told yourself, I don't know when this is ever going to happen. Why is it taking so long? You told yourself, I'm broke. You told yourself so many stories, right? But instead, if you replace the negative stories with actually, I'm a conqueror, my cup overflows, right? Everything I touch prospers. I have a community of people who react positively to what I put out in the marketplace. If you replace the negative things with the positive things, that's what me investing in myself was able to teach me and with the community. And then, of course, you got to have your girlfriends. You got to have people that you trust around you. And you got to have someone that you can let all of your hair down and you don't think about work. Because I think that for so long, and this is for any new entrepreneur, all you want to do is talk about your business, right? When you're passionate about it and you're just starting, you just want to talk about it all the time. And listen, your real friend's going to be like, I don't want to hear about this. Let's go have fun. Let's drink some wine. Let's drink a cocktail. Let's relax, And those are the people that you also need to be around sometime. The people that you trust, the people you can let your hair down with, right? But the people who not only you can have fun with, but they're cheering you on. They got to also cheer you on. They also have to pray for you. They also have to be safe spaces for you. So my circle is definitely God, my husband, now my tribe of my 3 children, and, my select few girlfriends who really want to see me win. Because when I win, they win. If I eat, they eat, right? And not off of my back, but because I've paved a way that they also see as possible for them.
Can I kind of add on a little bit? Because you talked to us about building a team and some good things you've experienced and also some bad things. Yeah. Some lessons learned that you've experienced with team building.
Yeah.
I have been really, really fortunate in building out the team for Boss Women Media, specifically and El Olivia. But I would say the best advice that I would have to give is you are slow to hire and you are quick to fire. And so for me, it is you would send in writing samples. I would talk to you and connect with you. People tell you who they are if you listen. People tell you what they want if you listen, right? So if we had a position at Boss Women Media, our last full-time hire, I hired her in 2022. So we've had the same staff since then. And it was time for me to not run social media anymore. It was time for me to give it over to someone else. I did not have the time to do that anymore. And I was really slow. I mean, I probably got in 100 applications for who could be our social media director, right? And I went through everyone. And then I said, actually send me a video submission in. And then I listened to them and I watched their mannerisms, right? And I allowed them to tell me who they were before I even interviewed them and connected with them and talked to them. But then when I did connect and talk with them, I would ask them, what are your values? Do your values align with who Boss Women Media's values are, right? Ultimately, what do you want? Not everybody knows where they're going to be in 5 years. That's okay. That's whatever. I don't care about that, right? But I do care about what you're passionate about. What are the things you think are your strengths, right? What are your opportunities, right? I need you to know that. I need you to be self-aware so that I know if you're easy to groom, if how you take feedback, right? We grind all the time. So what does your life look like outside of this too, right? Do you have kids? Are you married, right? Are you able to travel? Because we do pop-up tours and we go on HBCU campuses. There's so much to what we do, right? So I've really been able to implement slow to hire, quick to fire. I've only had to fire, and I've actually not ever had to fire anyone. Now, people have made their exit because they felt uncomfortable, right? And some of the things and based off of the values and the missions, right? And the expectations that I have set up front. But I'm very clear in what my expectations are. And I treat it just like I would treat any other setting, right? You have deliverables that you have to meet against every week, right? We have goals that we go over at the top of every year of where we want to see the company grow to, right? And if we don't meet these things, you don't get paid, no paycheck. And if you don't get no paycheck, you ain't got no job, right? And so, but I'm clear on what that looks like. And so, I think that when you're clear on what you are creating it and why you're creating it, you'll align yourself with the people who want to help you do just that. But there are a couple of good books that I've read along the way. Good to Great is one of the books. Is it Tim Collins, Jeff Collins? Somebody with the last name Collins. Good to Great is a really great book that I've read. There's another one, Building Effective Teams. And I can see the cover, but I can't see the author's name right now. But those have some of those leadership books teach you what type of leader you want to be. I think also another key point is you establishing and knowing what type of leader you are in order to lead other people. So establish and really define your leadership style, right? And then for me, ultimately, I try to map out what does a day in a life look like in the culture that I'm building and what I want my day to personally look like, right? So for me, I want my hours to be from 9 to 3. Now that don't sometimes ever happen. But that is what I'm working towards. And there's nothing stopping me from that right now, except for me putting up some more boundaries, right? And so in order to lead teams, find out what are the things that they want to, so that they're bought in. So if there's not a ton of money you can pay them right now, can you give them the flexibility? Can you give them an exciting work environment from a cultural perspective, right? Can they be themselves in your environment? They don't have to code switch and different things like that. And I think that that's how you build a successful team. Yes. All right, you guys. Well, if there are no other questions, thank you guys so very much. This was the Audacity of the Pitch with Marty Mcdonald. Thank you for tuning in. And if you like what you heard, and I hope you did, drop us a note, send us a comment, and send me a DM on Instagram and let me know what you like best about today's conversation. As always, thank you for listening to this episode of the Audacity of Ambitious Women. If you like what you heard, and I'm sure you did, please let us know. Make sure to subscribe to our podcast and drop us in the group chat to spread the word. It's time to be audacious.